guys. The new regulations for polar bear watching in Svalbard have been effective as of 1 January this year. They were introduced by the Norwegian government under the Svalbard Environmental Protection Act, and these rules aim to minimise the human disturbance to the polar regions and the Arctic wildlife. The key measures include, which affects our cruise passengers, maintaining a minimum distance of 500 metres from polar bears between March 1 and June 30 and 300 metres for the rest of the year. So additionally, tourist vessels are limited to carry no more than 200 passengers in protected areas, with landings restricted to 43 designated sites. While conservationists have welcomed these changes, some tourism operators have expressed concerns. For instance, the expedition leader and photographer Paul Goldstein criticised the regulations as over-restrictive and referring to them as conservation fascism. Conversely, industry representatives such as Akvil Marozait, the CEO of the Expedition Cruise Network, supports the measures, viewing them as a necessary step to protect the fragile Arctic environment. These regulations reflect Norway's commitment to balancing tourism with environmental conservation in the Arctic region. So why do they differ depending on the month? Well, the new polar bear watching regulations, depending on the month, primarily is to protect the polar bears during their most vulnerable periods, particularly when denning or hibernating, going into their den, and cub rearing season. So here's why. March to June, this is the stricter month, so that's 500 metres distance. This is the denning and birthing period for the polar bears. So mother polar bears emerge from dens with their very young cubs, who are highly vulnerable, if I can say that, to disturbance and human presence and noise, especially snowmobiles, ships and drones. During this time, they can stress the mothers, leading them to potentially abandon their dens or their cubs, which is often fatal for the cubs. So looking at July to February, again, less strict, 300 metre rule. The cubs are older, they're more mobile. The polar bears are generally more resilient, I should say, to the disturbances in this time, and less likely for den abandonment and serious harm when they have a distance of 300 metres for the rest of the year. So the seasonal variation is a science-based approach. It minimises the disruption, and especially in such a sensitive area with the changing environment. So what was the passenger capacity before might be a question. So prior to the implementation of these new regulations, there was no formal legal limits on the number of passengers tourist vessels could carry in Svalbard in their protected areas, while the industry guidelines such as those from AECO, which is the Association of Antarctic Expedition Cruise Operators, they encourage responsible tourism practices, but they didn't enforce specific passenger caps. So the 2025 regulations introduced a legal limit of 200 passengers per vessel within the protected areas, making a significant shift from previous practices. This change obviously aims to reduce the environmental impact and better protect the fragile Arctic ecosystem. If you have any questions about Arctic cruises on small ships of 100 passengers or under, give us a call or send us an email, reservations@micro-cruising.com.au. Thanks, guys.